Hey, so I'm gonna make this new YouTube channel. Um I've never done YouTube before. I just got in. I was initially gonna use BitChute, but I just wanted to come on here to basically talk about my experiences and the relationship I was just in. I was in a relationship for 4 years and she dumped me like a hot brick basically. So I felt very fucking terrible about that shit. Um I don't know if anyone else has any similar experiences to this, but it definitely taught me a lot about um I guess you can say paying attention to what women do more than what they say, because what they say is not really important. They can reassure you multiple times over and still just completely replace you and dump you the next day. So I think it's really important to be aware of how women manipulate you, how women try to take advantage of somebody who they perceive as a nice guy. They like to take advantages of people who are nice guys or simps, and they leave them for men who do not give a fuck about them and treat them like garbage. Which, in a way, I kind of hope that does happen because she deserves that. And a lot of women deserve that for doing that to men who take the time out of their day to be able to try to grow together in a relationship, really get to know the person and, make a new friend, hopefully, so that does turn into a real relationship. But a lot of women nowadays, they don't really care about that. Social media plays a big part in this. They just kind of see men as expendable. They see them as dicks, basically. They can just hop on different dicks when they get bored, and they don't really treat men like human beings. Women today, maybe historically that was true. Maybe historically women did really care about men. But nowadays, I would say that that's not so true. I think women treat men as if they are not even human beings and that they're just completely expendable. And a lot of guys are not very honest about their relationship failures when it comes to this. A lot of them beat around the bush. Some of them will say, "Oh, well, she wasn't my girl." Well, you've been talking to a girl for 4, 5, 6 years. It was 4 years for me, and she leaves you, and it's like, even if you were not in a relationship yet or aspiring to be in one, she really prevented you from trying to be able to grow with her and understand her as a person, like I said before. But this is just complete bullshit. I had some reservations about this. I knew when she started ghosting me. I knew she was ghosting me back in February. That was how early I noticed when she started to ghost me, and I confronted her about this. And I believe she lied. I believe she lied about everything. Of course, she would have never admitted it to me, but I knew that she was basically a fucking liar. And all women lie. All women will bold-faced lie to you just to reassure you, just so they can get you off of their backs. Basically, just telling you to go fuck yourself. But a little bit more polite, a little bit more nice, not to offend you. But one thing a lot of guys have to realize is that when you get fooled or manipulated by a woman once, she can't do that shit again. She can't do that shit twice. There's no way. Another woman can't do that. You know, you had expectations for what should be required in a relationship, and she completely blew all those away. Completely. There's no second chance for dating or relationships or anything. And it's not so much as you won't be confident to ask out another woman. You can do that. I know I definitely can do that. But you basically become numb to women's bullshit. You become numb to their lies. You become numb to their bullshit, and you grow to learn to hate that, and you just see women for what they are, basically just complete rude, lying, gaslighting, just reputable fucking just assholes, just complete fucking assholes. And like I said, a lot of men lie about this. They're very insecure about their personal relationships. Well, I'm not anymore. I would say she was a very important person to me, and I was simping to an extent. I think I was simping, and that's what the issue was. The real issue was. Of course, she would never tell me that was the real issue, but I really thought I had something going, and it's just like when you're with a woman and you have what seems basically like everything in common with her, and she just up and leaves you, in a way, there's really no coming back from this. People say you can move on from that. It's cope. You can't move on from that. You really can't. You really can't just be with a person for 4 years and share each other's knowledge about different things that you have in common, different games, different hobbies, different subjects. And then she up and leaves you. She up and leaves you like fucking nothing. And it's like, people, normies will tell you to move on. Oh, just move on. Just move on. You can't move on from that. You can't. You really cannot move on from that. It's all just cope. It's all just bullshit. You can't come back from that. When people tell you, when these normies basically tell you to move on from that, I mean, hopefully what they're implying in my eyes is that they're telling you to just move on, and that's literally it, just to move on, just, like just move on from that. But what I hope they're not implying is something that's even more fucking retarded, is just move on to another female, or move on, with another relationship. You can't do that. You can't just be with somebody that you have everything in common with, and when she leaves you, just to up and move and go look for another woman that you have fucking nothing in common with. You can't fucking do that. That's not something you can do. To all these motherfuckers saying, "Oh, just move on. Just move on." You can't do that. Okay? You can't fucking do that shit. That's bullshit. You can't spend 4 years or 5 years. Some people have been even more unlucky than I have. Some people have been in relationships for 5 or 6 years, and they leave them. But there's no coming back from this. There's no moving on. I don't believe that there's going to be another woman I will ever talk to, ever, to the same extent that I talked to her, with of course, the exception of female relatives. Um, but she's gone, and I'm completely fucking done with women until the day whatever happens to me. I can't say what'll happen to me. I have no idea. I feel like I've lost everything, in addition to other stuff that happened, unfortunately, too, that was really bad in my personal life. I watched my pet die very recently. So, I mean, this is horrible. I feel like my life is falling apart. And I can never see myself talking to another non-female woman in the same way that I talk to her. I just don't see it. There's no moving on in the way that normies tell you to move on. There's none of that. She's gone, and I'm never going to talk to another woman the same, ever. There's no. I'm 22 now. I'm 22 years old now, and there's nothing. There's no more talk with women. None of that. There's no more um d- detailed, descriptive conversations that you can talk about hobbies, or explore, or play the same video games with. There's none of that shit. And yeah, there are plenty of fishes in the sea. There are tons of different women you can talk to. But almost none of them you're gonna have anything in common with. And so excuse me, when you lose that one female that you had everything in common with, that's fucking it. That's it. There's no moving on. There's no future. There's no hope. And I know it sounds like I'm being dramatic, but I'm really not. There's not another female I would be interested to speak with on the same level that I spoke with her and spent time with her and enjoyed my company being with her. And like I said, I can't determine what my future is going to be. down the line personally as to my own goals or successes, but I do know that I'm completely done with women. And that's how it should be. If you lose a woman that you had everything in common with, like I'm not just saying, oh, she was attractive, oh, she was cute, she had a cute personality. I'm talking about if you lose basically what is essentially kind of like a soulmate. If you lose your female soulmate and you connected and bonded with her on a personal level that was just completely like almost spiritual in a sense, a real true spiritual bond that you had with somebody that was completely lined up with what you wanted in a woman. You can't have that again ever. You can't. I'm telling you this. You can't. There's no moving on. There's no moving on. People who say to move on, they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. They have no idea how special that person was in your life for them to tell you to just move on, because I've been in relationships where a female was literally just that, my friend, and she stopped talking, or they will stop talking to you after a while, and I was fine with that because I was not really attracted to them, in a way that I wanted them to be my significant other. So and I've had that happen to me before, but this is just on a whole nother level. Like I said, I'm 22, and I don't think ever in my life women already don't really like me. But this right now is just completely devastating. I don't think there'll ever be another significant development coming out of my life in regards to a female. I think this is it. No matter where I end up in life, if I live to 72 or 60 or 34, whatever the hell, whatever the fuck, I don't think I don't think there's any coming back from this. I don't think there'll be any type of rebound or anything significant. I can find a woman that's nice, or I could find a woman, she may not be that attractive, but we might have some things in common. Or I could find a really attractive woman that does have a nice personality, but we have nothing in common with on a deeper level. So women, um, any woman that has manipulated you or manipulated me, what they don't understand is, that really affects somebody, that really affects a man on a personal level. There's no recourse or any type of adjustment that you could possibly do when somebody that important leaves. And all these women are doing are creating soldiers, essentially. They're creating soldiers of out of men who will be unable to see any type of genuine love or care for a woman or anything like that at all. They will be complete soldiers, complete devoid of any emotion towards females. They will see them how I see them now, basically as just kind of like obstacles to get around. And what women don't understand is that they are basically weaponizing men when they do this. They don't think they do, or they don't think about this at all, and they try to get past it. But you really weaponize a man when you fuck him over like this. You really do. And there's no point in being nice to a female unless you're going to get something out of it, unless you're going to get sex, unless you're going to get any type of lay, any type of personal score with her. If you're not, if you're being a nice to a woman and you're not going to get that outcome, there's no point. There's no point. Women are just basically obstacles to get around once you have that breakup, that pain, that woman leave you, because I know it's going to happen to most men, the vast majority of men who are average, men who are desirable. This isn't going to happen to men who are desirable. They don't, fortunately for them, they're not invincible either. They can be manipulated by men too, and they can still get cheated on by other desirable men themselves, but generally they're not going to have to worry about this issue as much as somebody who is an average looking man. um of course, somebody like a sub 5, they're not gonna be in the game that much anyway. They're not really gonna even make friends, be friends with the woman, let alone try to, be her boyfriend or date with her. For some of us, it never began, and really sometimes I like to think that I was a sub five, or I wish what I'm trying to say is I wish I was at sometimes sub five. Because for sub 5 men, it never began for them. So it's like you can't miss what you never had. But when you're an average man, that's the worst because you almost seem like you really do have a chance, but you can't predict what's in a woman's mind and when she's just going to drop you and just leave you and abandon you and just not care about you anymore. And I think that's just really fucking devastating to do to a man. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. This is my first YouTube video. I'm not used to making YouTube videos. I don't know. I'll see how it goes if I get any views or not, or what have you. But let me know if you've had any personal experiences with this as well in the comments. Let me know. But yeah, I mean, I'm at just like a crossroads in my life. I really don't know what's going to end up happening to me. But yeah.